Last time, Ash had his first gym battle against Brock, acquiring his first badge. He also befriended Brock. Ash then caught a new Pokemon, Eevee, and they headed to Mount Moon, where Brock caught a Zubat and they fought off Team Rocket. After leaving Mount Moon, Ash and Gary reunite and have a battle, where Kakuna evolves, but Gary ends up winning. What will happen this time as the journey continues? Ash and friends arrive in Cerulean City, where Misty starts beginning to act strange and decides to ditch Brock and Ash. Ash and Brock then show up to a store within the city that has recently got robbed by Team Rocket. Brock and Ash then split off because Brock needs to buy some supplies, and Ash explores the city looking for the gym, where he runs into Gary, who is catching a Krabby. Gary then says he's heading to the gym, which Ash claims he'll battle and win first. Gary then says, "Well, you're gonna have to beat me there." That's when Ash sends out Butterfree and uses Sleep Powder on Gary and his cheerleaders. Ash then sprints towards the gym, arriving to a water show hosted by 3 girls. These are the Sensational Sisters, a group of water performers who use the gym for their shows. Once Ash challenges them, they offer Ash the badge for free as they have no Pokemon to battle after recent challenges. Ash goes to take the badge when Gary and Misty step in, mocking him for taking the easy route. Turns out, Misty actually found Gary sleeping after catching the Krabby. Misty reveals that she's the youngest Sensational Sister who had left the gym so she can be stronger and catch new Pokemon. She then says that she will battle Ash in the place of her sisters with her own Pokemon, which Ash accepts, thinking he can easily beat her. The battle begins with Ash attempting to use Pikachu, who refuses, not wanting to fight his friend. With Pikachu stepping out, Ash decides to use Kakuna and Misty for starting. Misty gets an early lead with a Swift and Water Gun, but Ash is able to hold out with Harden. Kakuna is then able to hit Staryu right in the eye with its Poison Sting. Misty then decides to use her battlefield to her advantage and knocks Kakuna under the water and swiftly swims, hitting Kakuna harder and harder. Kakuna is almost knocked out when it suddenly hatches and evolves into Beedrill. Now having a sky advantage, Beedrill is able to take out Staryu with Fury attacks. Misty then sends out Staryu. She calls for a Water Gun, Beedrill avoiding and using a Poison Sting, yet again poisoning its opponent. Misty then ties it up after using a Bubble Beam, knocking out Beedrill. With the match all tied up, Ash sends out Butterfree. He calls for a Sleep Powder, which Misty avoids by going under the water. She then rushes in with Tackle, knocking Butterfree near the water. Being near the water, Ash calls for a Whirlwind, creating a whirlpool for Butterfree to rush in for a tackle. When suddenly, Team Rocket breaks into the gym, interrupting the match with a machine they created from the stolen parts. They start stealing all the water and Pokemon from the gym. Ash and Misty are then forced to team up to take out Team Rocket. Gary also stepping in, sending out his recently caught Clefairy. They send them blasting off, and due to the closeness of the match and him saving the gym, the sisters award him a badge, annoying Misty because he didn't win it fair and square. Gary then interrupts this, stating he would like to win a badge the correct way. Gary and Misty's match begins. Misty switches things up and uses her Goldeen, while Gary uses Paris. Goldeen uses Water Gun, which Paris avoids using Stun Spore and paralyzes Goldeen. Gary then calls for Leech Life to slowly drain Goldeen and heal his Paris. He then calls for a Scratch, which allows for Misty to land a super effective attack. Paris then continues to avoid upcoming attacks, Bodine being drained slowly, when it suddenly evolves, and Misty calls for a Bumblebee, which hits and allows Sea King to get quick hits off before fainting. She then sends out Starmie. Gary recalls Paris and sends out Clefairy. After dodging all of Starmie's attacks, Gary calls for a Mnt Moon that takes down Starmie in one shot. Everyone is shocked when Gary receives his badge, thanks Misty for the battle, and walks off. After this, Misty feels horrible. Gary just walked all over her, and she begins to feel like her training was for nothing, and believe she can never be a strong gym leader. She then runs off. Ash finds her, and she talks about how compared to her sister, she feels unworthy of being a part of their family. She believes being a strong gym leader is the only way she can finally separate herself from her sister's shadow and not be the mediocre extra sister, and stand alongside them as equals. Ashton says that she can always keep getting stronger, and she can't always compare herself to someone else. Ashton thinks of him and Gary. Her sisters watching this comfort her and talk about how her courage to fight in their place just proves how strong she's gotten. They then promise to make the gym a worthy place for her and refuse to deny challenges. Ashton tells her that they can keep traveling together and both keep growing stronger. Misty then cheers up and promises the next time she visits home, she'll be worthy of being a gym leader. She then decides to leave Starmie under their care, as she borrowed it only so she can catch her own Pokemon. Ash and Misty then go to leave, when Brock meets back up with them and falls in love with Misty's sisters, Misty slapping him and dragging him away by the ear as the journey continues. On the way to Vermilion City, Ash wins against a trainer with a Rattata, easily defeating him with Pidgeotto. He then recommends Ash to battle a trainer named AJ, who's apparently won 98 battles in a row. Ash meets AJ, a gym leader of an unofficial gym, who has won 98 battles and has never lost. They battle. Ash is surprised that AJ's Sandshrew easily beat his Butterfree in battle, winning his 99th battle. Ash and his friends later see that AJ puts his Pokemon through very rough training. He makes his Sandshrew, normally weak to water-type attacks, train in a swimming pool. Although Ash doesn't approve of his intense training session, the others respect it, as it's his decision on how to train his Pokemon. Team Rocket, who had been following Ash after he and his friends had caused multiple missions to fail, attempt to steal Pikachu yet again, but fail and accidentally grab Sandshrew. After Ash and AJ are distracted by a heated fight, they notice Sandshrew is missing, so the group helps AJ search. Ash realizes how AJ truly cares for Pokemon after seeing Sandshrew go missing. They find Team Rocket and AJ fights him off, finally achieving 100 wins in battle. Team Rocket then gets sent blasting off again. Now with 100 wins under his belt, AJ finally believes it's time for him to take on the Pokemon League and promises to Ash that they'll have a rematch to finally settle their differences. Ash and friends are traveling in foggy woods when Ash and Pikachu suddenly discover a bunch of school kids bullying a classmate. They're all students of the Pokemon Technical Institute, which offers classes that allow trainers to enter the Pokemon League without any badges. The student says the rough treatment is necessary so he'll be strong enough to graduate. Ash doesn't like that idea and demands to meet the person responsible for this tutoring program. The student introduces the gang to the school and their Pokemon tech, this tech allowing them to evaluate strength based on an algorithm. Ash and the gang see this technology as flawed and believe it can't produce accurate results. We meet the leader of the school, a conceited girl named Giselle, who Brock and Ash both fall in love with. Misty is somewhat jealous of this attention and challenges her to a battle. Giselle uses her algorithm before the match to predict how Mr. Staryu will operate. With this, she then accepts the battle using her victory bell that, based on the algorithm, she believes is a stronger Pokemon and can win this match. In no time, Misty is easily defeated and she becomes embarrassed. Team Rocket watches all of this and believe that they can use this Pokemon technology to avoid losing to Ash and the gang and decide to steal it. After Misty's embarrassing loss, Ash decides to step in and challenges Giselle to a battle. Giselle sees this battle as useless, but she wants to validate her technology and she analyzes Ash's Pikachu, and the battle begins. She uses Cubone as it has an immunity to electric-type moves. Ash calls for a Thunder Shock, which fails. Giselle then calls Cubone to use its Boomerang, which hits Pikachu directly. She calls for another Boomerang, which hits, when Ash gets the idea. Giselle then calls for another Boomerang, but this time, Pikachu jumps over Cubone's head and twists its skull backwards so it can no longer speak. Pikachu then tackles it over and over before its Boomerang comes back and knocks it out. Giselle is taken aback by the loss and returns her crying Cubone. She believes this could be a fluke and notes that something like this could be put within the data, when suddenly Team Rocket arrives and steals the tech. She uses the technology to evaluate Team Rocket, but it fails due to Team Rocket's unpredictability. That's when Ash and Misty step in to beat the trio yet again with Pikachu and Star. Giselle reflects on the day's events, realizing that the school just can't teach everything with technology. The students all decide that they should disband the student after realizing that a journey can benefit them more. Giselle also realizes and promises Ash she will rematch him in the Pokemon League with her own skills and judgment as a trainer and not just an ally. Ash and Misty, while arguing, discover a Poliwag. As Misty sends out Staryu to weaken Poliwag, a Bulbasaur appears and fights Staryu, while Poliwag runs off into the woods. Ash wants to step in and catch Bulbasaur, but it runs off. Ash and the gang chase after it, when suddenly they have to cross a rope bridge. They begin to cross and it snaps, sending Brock into a river below. Ash, Misty, and Pikachu all hunt for Brock when they set off a couple of traps. They believe it is Team Rocket's as they are hanging from a tree. Fortunately, Brock shows up to cut them down and brings them to meet a woman named Daisy. It is then revealed that Ash actually knew Daisy, as she's Gary's sister. Daisy reveals that she left Pallet Town 2 years ago on a journey, and during that journey, she realizes about all the wounded Pokemon in the woods that don't have Nurse Joy to look after them. So she decided to set up a secret Pokemon paradise and set up traps to keep them safe from poachers. She also explains that recently the Pokemon she's come to care for are refusing to leave. Because Bulbasaur stepped in as the guardian of the secret village, they are safer here than in the wild. Daisy then gives them a tour, which Bulbasaur is against the idea of outsiders in the village and wants Ash and friends to leave immediately. Meanwhile, Team Rocket are in search of the village and eventually find it and attack. Ash and friends team up with Bulbasaur to protect this village and send them blasting off again. After this, the village is somewhat destroyed, and she decides the best thing for her to do is to find a new location for the village. This is so that she can find new wild Pokemon to take care of, while the current ones find a new home. This is including Bulbasaur. She suggests that Ash and Bulbasaur should team up and become partners, which Bulbasaur agrees to, but only if Ash beats it in battle. Ash and Bulbasaur battle, with Ash winning, allowing him to catch it. Ash and the gang say goodbye to Daisy and continue to Vermilion City. The gang continues their travels when they find a Charmander sitting alone on a rock. Ash decides he wants to catch it, but the Pokeball doesn't work. This Charmander already has a trainer. Thinking it got lost and is waiting for his trainer, Ash and the gang decide to leave it there to rest. They arrive at the Pokemon Center when a storm begins and traps them there for the night. Ash and friends worry about the Charmander, hoping it's okay, when they hear his trainer, Damien. Damien talks about abandoning it because it's so weak. Ash hears this and gets mad at him and begins yelling at him. The trainer then gets up when Brock grabs him and yells at him that Charmander could die if its flame isn't protected from the rain. After this, Ash, Brock, and Misty go to save Charmander from the rain. They take it to Nurse Joy and she begins to save its life. They watch over it and pray for its safety. The following morning, they go to check on Charmander and see that it left the Poke Center. So Ash runs off to figure out what happened. That's when Charmander runs into Team Rocket and tries to catch it. Ash arrives and helps Charmander fight them off. Damien spots this and sees Charmander's strength. After Team Rocket gets sent blasting off, he goes to reclaim Charmander, but it refuses to join him and wants to join Ash. Damien then storms off and Ash catches Charmander. Now that Ash has 6 Pokemon in his party, with Charmander being the 7th, he decides to send Beedrill to Oak due to Beedrill's anger and his inability to control him as well as the other Pokemon. Ash and the gang continue their travels when they suddenly fall into a hole. They believe it is left by Team Rocket. Wait, it wasn't? Ah, the Squirtle Squad. Ash and the gang escape, and the local Officer Jenny assists them and informs them about the Squirtle Squad. They're a group of rebel Squirtles abandoned by their trainers and lash out at a local town. Meanwhile, Team Rocket is captured by the Squirtle Squad, and Meowth is able to make an alliance with them. He lets Jesse and James free and tells them to meet back up with him later. Meowth and the Squirtle Squad capture Ash and the gang and fight Pikachu. Pikachu is badly hurt, and Ash begs for the leader to let him free so he can get potions to heal him. After much debate, the Squirtle's leader agrees to it for the sake of Pikachu and gives Ash a time limit, stating they will kill Misty and Brock if he doesn't return. While this is happening, Team Rocket begins robbing the town and stealing all their money from the Pokémon. Ash arrives to town after a long journey when he is accidentally knocked out by Gary after walking out the Pokémon. Ash gets the potion and arrives back within the time limit to save Pikachu. This proves to the Squirtle Squad not all humans are truly bad. That is when Team Rocket attacks, throwing bombs at the Squirtle Squad, trying to capture all of them and Pikachu. But this caused a fire to start, and the Squirtle Squad all have to team up to put it out. Ash is able to send Team Rocket blasting off again, and Officer Jenny, seeing the Squirtle's actions, decides to recruit them for her firefighting squad. This will also allow for them to repay their debts to the town because of all the pranks. Ash and the gang go to leave the town when the Squirtle's gang leader appears, wanting Ash to catch it. He realizes that Ash is better than most humans, so he wants to join them. Ash catches Squirtle, and the group continues their journey.